Disclaimer. This video is for educational purposes only. Some footage is used under fair use for commentary, research, and analysis. All rights remain with the original copyright owners. We do not claim ownership of third-party content. Now please enjoy the video. Hey Nosey Flockers, welcome back to Nosey Ostrich, where animals keep proving they're way weirder than horror movies. Today we're talking about real zombie animals. Yup, nature actually makes its own zombies, and trust me, The Walking Dead's got nothing on these creatures. Let's get into it. Number 5, rabbits and squirrels. Starting cute. Soft and fuzzy, or not. Rabbits and squirrels sometimes get hit with a virus that causes giant wart-like growths all over their bodies. Social media calls them zombie rabbits or Frankenstein squirrels. Creepy? Absolutely. Deadly? Not usually. Let's take a look at this video about rabbits.
Enjoy living in Fort Collins just as much as people. They're often spotted hopping through neighborhoods looking for grub. But some Southeast Fort Collins neighbors noticed bunnies where cute wasn't exactly the word that came to mind. I snapped this photo of one of the rabbits I've seen with the growth. I also saw this photo posted on Reddit, also spotted in Fort Collins.
Like a scabbyish looking kind of growth over her face.
Looks like it was black quills or black toothpicks sticking out all around his mouth.
Susan Mansfield said she saw a different bunny with tentacles in her yard in recent years.
He had this same black stuff on him, and I thought he would die off during the winter, but he didn't. He came back a second year, and it grew.
Some
Yes, I have.
feel bad for our tiny neighbors.
If they have, something that, we can help them with.
Colorado Parks and Wildlife confirms this is a virus that's not contagious to other animals like people's dogs, but they say leave this wildlife alone like you would with any of the neighborhood bunnies.
Even though it's not harmless to humans as of now, I still wouldn't suggest being besties with your neighborly rabbits or squirrels. Now let's move right along. Can you guess what beautiful creature is coming up next? Next up, Bambi gone wrong. Number 4. Zombie deer. White-tailed deer can suffer from fibromas or worse, chronic wasting disease. Hunters call it the zombie deer disease because infected deer stumble around, drool, and look half alive. They're not out here looking for brains, but if you see a deer staring blankly into the void, don't assume it's deep in thought. Nature might just be glitching. Here is an informative video to explain more about chronic waste disease.
Chronic wasting disease for the state.
Commonly known as CWD,
Yep.
right? So when we're going to take it back to the basics right here at the very beginning of this show, what is chronic wasting disease?
So chronic wasting disease, or CWD, is obviously a disease that is contagious and always fatal, and it affects members of the cervid family, which is basically just a fancy term for deer. So in Pennsylvania, that would include our white-tailed deer and our elk. And what it is again, a brain disease that is caused by a protein called a prion. So prions are found naturally in all mammals, but in this case, and nobody really knows how or why this happens, those prion proteins become misfolded. And when they do, and a deer is exposed to this prion protein and it enters their body, it will then bind to those normal proteins and cause them to change shape. And it continues in a chain reaction, and as more and more of those take on this kind of bad shape, it starts to form plaques in the brain and results in neural cell death, which causes holes in the brain. So you can imagine you can't really survive with holes in your brain.
Sure.
It's not good. And so ultimately that animal will die from it.
So it's out there. How does it transmit from one deer to the next?
So kind of two ways, directly and indirectly. So when we say directly, we're talking about direct animal-to-animal contact. You can think of things like grooming behavior, where they're kind of exchanging saliva and things, and indirectly being contaminated environments. So if an animal, goes to the bathroom in an area, contaminates the soil and the plants, then they can pick it up that way as well.
So, but there's really no way to control that, is there? I mean, you can't burn it out of the ground, right? You can't go in and plow over anything. I mean, if it's there, it's there. So what are we doing to try to keep this under control?
So yeah, like you said, there's very few options. You can't burn it. Those proteins can remain infectious above 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. So you can't cook it out of your meat.
So Andrea, from start to finish, if a deer gets infected by another deer, from that moment until its inevitable death, what is the timeline?
So it's pretty much 1.5 to 2 years until an animal might look sick, to where we notice that something is wrong with it. And that period really only lasts maybe a few months until they ultimately will die from it. And that is something we get asked quite frequently is, you know, I'm not seeing sick deer, I'm not seeing dead deer, so really how serious is CWD? And the fact that that incubation period is so long is part of the explanation. The other part of that is as the disease is progressing, and we can't see it on the outside, on the inside it's affecting the brain, which is it's kind of making it more likely to die from other things.
Sorry to cut the video short, Flockers, but enough was explained for us to have an understanding about CWD. Let's see who we have next. Number 3, raccoons and foxes. Rabies and distemper can turn your friendly neighborhood raccoon into a nightmarish mess. They stumble, foam at the mouth, and act like the undead. Wildlife officers get tons of calls about zombie raccoons. It's not a monster movie, though. It's just what happens when viruses hijack their nervous system. Still, keep your distance. Nobody needs a zombie raccoon side quest in their life. Here is a video about the signs to look for to see if a raccoon has rabies or not.
To humans, whether or not they have rabies. So right here in this video, we're going to give you 4 signs to see if a raccoon has rabies or not. Number 1 is difficulty walking. If a raccoon has fully or somewhat paralyzed back legs, and so that way they're not able to walk normally, they're walking really weird, but they don't have an apparent injury, that could be a sign that they have rabies. Another one would be if they're just walking in circles and there's issues with their legs and their mobility abilities. So if they have any issue with their mobility, don't help them out. Just kind of see what they're doing and hopefully they'll go away on their own, because that could be a sign that they have rabies. Number 2 is a raccoon that looks confused or is not alert. Most raccoons are going to be very, very, very alert creatures. And some raccoons, they avoid humans, and other raccoons, they don't really mind humans. But one way or another, especially when they're foraging and looking for things, they're going to be very alert and purposeful. Whatever they're doing it fully. So if a raccoon is looking really confused and disorientated and they don't really know what's going on, that could be a sign that they have rabies. Telltale sign number 3 is if a raccoon is making very weird noises. Now, if raccoons are together in a pack, or it's even just 2 of them, they might be talking to each other, they might be making some noises or whatever, and that is completely normal. However, if they're foraging, if they're looking around for things and they appear to be doing something rather purposeful, or it's a raccoon that's completely alone, that's making a ton of weird noises in kind of a crazy and not really purposeful way, that could be a sign that the raccoon is injured, has rabies, etc. So you should probably avoid the raccoon. The final telltale sign that a raccoon has rabies is if there's foaming at the mouth. If you ever see foaming at the mouth by any creature, squirrels, raccoons, skunks, anything, avoid them immediately. If it's in your home or it's in your property area and it's not going away, call a wildlife expert immediately. Do not get near the creature, because it is very, very likely, almost 99.9% likely, that the creature has rabies, and you do not want to be near the creature, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to get any rabies at all, because that would be a huge problem for you. So if you see foaming at the mouth, avoid that completely.
If you didn't know the rabies signs before, I hope you definitely do now. Number 2, frogs and fish. parasites don't play fair. Some worms and flukes infect frogs and fish, causing crazy deformities like extra legs, missing eyes, or twitchy zombie-like movements. But why do these parasites cause mutations? Let's watch this quick video and find out.
The adults of the parasitic worm Riberia ondatray live in the bellies of predatory water birds, and their eggs come out in the bird's droppings. Once in the water, these eggs hatch into a larval stage, which then seeks out the next host, a water snail. They burrow into the snail and turn it into a factory for the next larval stage in the worm's life cycle. An infected snail then starts releasing hundreds of larvae each day. The larvae then swim off looking for a tadpole. They burrow into the part that will later become the frog's legs, damaging the growing limb tissue. When it matures into a frog, its legs don't grow properly. This means the frog can't escape predators like water birds, and if a bird eats the frog, there's an unwelcome hitchhiker hiding inside, Riberia. A new generation of worms then ends up in the belly of a new bird, which can spread worm eggs to new ponds and rivers in its poop.
Basically, Mother Nature gave parasites the cheat codes, and frogs, fish, and others are the unfortunate players. Number 1. Zombie ants. And finally, the king of zombie nature, ants. There's a fungus called Ophiocordyceps that literally controls their brains. It makes ants climb up plants, clamp down, and wait while the fungus sprouts right out of their head like a horror movie mushroom. Yes, it's real. Yes, it's nightmare fuel. Yes, it proves that nature invented zombies long before Hollywood. And yes, I'm going to play this cool yet creepy clip so you can see for yourself. Let's get into it. Parasitic fungus, known as cordyceps, creeps inside their minds. Once infected, the ant loses control. It climbs upward, completely disoriented, and locks its jaws onto a branch or leaf, unable to let go. Other worker ants act fast, dragging infected nestmates far from the colony. It looks harsh, but it's survival. Because soon, the fungus bursts through the victim's head that will rain deadly spores. Over the next few weeks, that spore-filled stalk matures, and when it releases, any ant nearby is at risk. Entire colonies can collapse from this ruthless parasite. And ants aren't the only targets. Scientists have discovered thousands of different cordyceps species, each one specialized to take down just a single kind of insect. A real-life nightmare straight out of science fiction. So there you have it. Real-life zombies creeping around in the animal kingdom, just like a Michael Jackson Thriller video. From deer to ants, these creatures prove that nature's sense of humor is equal parts terrifying and fascinating. If you enjoyed this spooky safari, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss more wild stories from Nosey Ostrich. Until next time, Flockers.